Chip was my mate, my close confidant, comrade in struggle, and friend. I've learned so much from him. The last 4 or 5 years have been my happiest and most satisfactory as we work together to help in whatever way we can for racial justice here in rural eastern North Carolina, where we've lived for the past 17 years, first in Fayetteville and now Rockmount. Knowing him intimately, there are a few characteristics I've known in him and admired that may not be as apparent to other folks. He was always ready to learn and change. It may take time, but he always usually got to the heart of the problem and sought positive solutions. He was energetic and very reliable in carrying out his responsibilities. He had a great sense of humor, but never at the expense of other people and their culture. He had an analytical mind and actively sought for answers beyond the apparent and obvious. Chip was an internationalist, a person who went beyond local and national politics. He was very adamant about linking all our struggles globally. Most of all, he was a good listener. He taught me to be one also. I want to thank everyone who's taken the time and traveled long distances to come here and say a few words on how Chip had touched their lives. I also want to thank people who cannot be here but have written tributes to him in social media and guest book. My gratitude and appreciation for everyone who sent cards and brought food and flowers for us, particularly Musa and Sneha and Sadie, who came several times with food to our house, and everyone who helped put together the food for this occasion. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the 5 caretakers who had so diligently and respectfully cared for Chip in the last month of his life as he fought valiantly to stay on. To Rosetta, Sharon, Estelle, Darlicia, and Norma, thank you. My special thanks to Mr. Hubert D. Pope at his funeral home, who took care of his last remains and has helped us organize this memorial. Most of all, I want to thank my 2 sons and their partners and the grandchildren for helping me through this very difficult transitional period. Nathan and Hallie, who traveled from Melbourne, Australia, and Nick and Nikki from Central Pennsylvania, and their 4 children, Alex, Dominic, Isabel, and Logan. And the in-laws, Oscar and Debbie Rice, Elaine and Mark Goodman. I also want to acknowledge Chip's cousins, Alan and Gail, and friends Rosa and Megan, Malia, his nieces in India, and has sent a voice recording of Amazing Grace for him. Just played just now. I cannot finish without paying tribute to all of Chip's close friends and comrades all over the U.S., in New York and Philly, Raleigh, and Durham, Fayetteville, and Rocky Mount. You are too numerous to name, but you are all extremely important in Chip's life. Members of Freedom Road, Black Workers for Justice, the Sierra Club, P-Flag, Unitarian Fellowship, the Quaker House, Triangle Labor Group, the Phoenix Historical Society, the Mazzara Study Group, In the Name of Humanity, and especially members of the Racial Justice Group here in Rocky Mount, who worked closely with us in the last 2 years. Please forgive me if I have unintentionally omitted anyone. In honor of his memory and to continue his work, I have set up a Chip Smith Racial Justice Memorial Fund in the Rocky Mount Southern Bank to help us in our work and to benefit youths of color. Now I want to invite everyone to say a few words, what is in their hearts and minds, and to fill in whatever I have omitted. Kim Anchor. So those are words from my mom, from myself, my brother, my family. I definitely, we only see one facet of, a number of different facets, but mainly is from a son and from a family member. And I know he touched a number of people in very many different ways, from friends and family to coworkers to colleagues to all walks of life. And we really, the reason why we set the space up this way is that we wanted to be inclusive and to have everyone speak a few words, no matter how you knew Chip. You knew my father, to please feel free to say something about how you knew him and how he touched your life in any way. And again, we want to be inclusive and encourage everyone to say a couple words. We got the space until 6, but we plan to have drinks and refreshments after and things like that. So please, let's use the time as we can.
Well, I hate public speaking, so I'll get this over with. One thing that Chip did for me, I do some volunteer work that was a little separate and apart from what I basically work with children. And not only was he passionate about his own, as a friend of mine said, fairness and brotherhood. 2 people have said that to me since Chip died. And he encouraged me in interesting ways about what I do, because it took me a while to find my voice. And one more thing, my father would have loved him, because when I was growing up, one of his admonitions to me was, Sadie, you need to learn to think things through. Well, Chip did things through. And sometimes when I thought things through, he'd say, Sadie, what were you thinking? But that's another for another day. So he meant an awful lot to me. I worked with him separately on a little project, and it didn't go too far, but we made an effort anyway. So he really meant a lot to me. I went to see him. I have to say this. I went to see him when he was 3 I think. And when I was leaving, I said, what can I do for you, Chip? He said, just make sure that Kim can keep on doing what she does. And if anybody doubts that, all he had to do was be in the room when he started, when she started speaking, he started smiling.
Well, I'm one of the caregivers for Mr. Richard. I worked with him on first shift, and in his last days, he just gave me a smile that, you know, it was a beautiful smile. And I enjoyed Kim and her son as I took care of him. He was such a nice person, and I'm glad I was a part of that family during this time.
Hello, I'm Sharon Harrington. I work second shift from 2:30 to 10:30. And as far as I know, then I thank God for Kim because I got that phone call, and when she called me, she was telling me that she was looking for someone to take care of her husband. And I was telling her, she was telling me she was looking for around the care there, someone to live in. And I was giving her a little advice that I think that you need to kind of like maybe consider 3 shifts and round the care on the weekends. That way that he's covered all times. And so she called me back and said she had got somebody. So I said, okay, I laid the number 2 down. And for some reason, I had a feeling that she was going to call me back and tell me that, Sharon, you know, come meet her, they got this job. So when she called me back, I said, okay, Kim, I'm coming over Sunday to meet you and I'm going to meet your husband. And when I came and met, he gave me a smile, I gave him a handshake and everything. And I said, Kim, if you don't mind, can I bring my girls on board? These are my ladies that came with us on board with her. And truly, I really have enjoyed working there, taking care of Chip. She made her home our home. She made us welcome in her home, you know. And I just thank God that he was a sweet person, you know. And when he ate all his food, he would give me thumbs up and he would smile. You know, he would give me a smile. And I believe Chip had a bond with all of us girls. And it was different. Every one of us had a different connection with him. And I say to the family, I still tell them, I thank you for inviting us into your home and that you trust us to take care of your spouse. And we thank you, we love you, tell you all the time, if anything that we can do for you, even if all this is over with, we are there. We're still there. Thank you.
Well, I think Chip and Dr. Pugh may have saved my life. Before I lived in the same neighborhood as them, 2 blocks away. And I was a young anarchist. But I didn't have any direction. I saw things like injustice and intolerance, and I didn't know what to do about it. And he noticed, because I kept asking questions like, yeah, but what about this? And this is stupid. And you just burn it down. And he's like, well, I like the passion, but there's other ways to do it. And so he gave me a book that changed my life. It was called, I still remember it. I think I still have it. It's called A Piece of the Pie. And it was about like a consumer's guide to the economy. And I was 17, and it changed my life. Because it made me realize, I was like, oh, this is what he's talking about. And this is what it means to be about something without just being angry, without just being full of passion without any direction. So they opened up their home to us, to me and my friends, and we were able to form bonds that my wife was jealous of. That my friends that aren't part of that group are jealous of. That they gave us another family, and that was half a life ago. And it still affects me every day. And I love you. And I love Jake. And thank you for having us.
My name is Ken Phillips, and first I can say Chip is one of the nicest and also intelligent people I have ever met. I don't recall him ever saying a bad thing about anybody. And at the risk of getting out of line here, but he kind of said he was a Buddhist, but it really wasn't right what he said. I read something from one of the books of Buddhist. It's talking about if you watch your speech and restrain your mind and never commit any wrong or harm, you will find a way taught by the wise. Apparently, I really think Chip has probably done that, or more than I have. There's no question. There's no question about that. And those are the words in the book. My words are, excuse the French, Chip is a damn good human being. Thank you.
To the family and all of Chip's friends, I'm so happy to see you here. The other night when I heard that Chip had passed, I couldn't go to sleep all night. And something came to me and told me to read part of his poem, not all of it. I met Chip some time ago. I don't remember how. But I know we broke bread at my house, and we broke bread at his house. We went to many luncheons together, and he had a very rare DNA because he didn't care who you were, he just wanted to help. So he was a special person that was sent here on earth. And this poem is by Milo Angelou, and it says, when a tree falls, a big tree falls, everybody listens, even the animals in the forest. They shuttle down, they're quiet. I'm not going to read it all, but this part related to Chip. It says, when a great soul dies, the air around us becomes light, rare, and briefly. We breathe briefly. One of our eyes are briefly. Our memories suddenly sharpen. We start remembering great things. We promise all the promises that we promised to do, it comes to us because we failed to do them. Great souls die, and our reality is bound to them. Take leave of us, our souls depends upon their nurturance. And when great souls die after a period of peace, then it blossoms, slowly and always. Space filled with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses are restored, and it's never going to be the same. But we will get a whisper from Chip, and he will tell us that he existed, and we should be better because he existed here. He worked his tail off in all phases of life. He was a great man. I'm very proud of him. I marched with him. I didn't want to do it, but I did
My name is Siobhan, and I met Mr. Smith. It's kind of odd to call him Chip, when I was 14. And in the beginning, starting to know the man, he was a man of few words, but a very dominating figure. He would make you just feel comfort and at ease.
And I didn't realize how important and how it shaped my life and the lives of all of our friends, how they created and provided a safe haven for a group of miscreants that didn't belong anywhere else. We didn't fit in with all the people in the high schools that we went to. We kind of moved to the beat of our own drum and just felt as though we wanted to be unique, we wanted to be ourselves. And Mr. Smith and Dr. Koo provided that space for us to feel comfortable in our own skin, to grow and to be the people that we were meant to be, and not to be afraid or ashamed of who we were or where we came from or what we believed in or how we dressed or how we spoke. It was just, are you genuine? Do you really care about your neighbor and your friend, and are they going to be your family for the rest of your life? And they provided that for us for almost 8 years. There was a group of us, maybe 15, 20 kids that they used to let just run around in their house, in their yard, but they always looked after us, and all of our parents felt comfortable with us being there because they knew that not only were they the parents of Nate and Nick, they were also our parents. And they took care of us, and they helped us to grow and to create a bond that has lasted over 25 years and will continue to last. And I am just grateful that he helped to shape me and that we were allowed to be a part of his life and he was a part of our lives. And I knew I said thank you when I was younger, but I never really appreciated what he had done for my life. And I just wanted to say thank you now to Chip and to Dr. Koo for everything you've done for us and for everything that, you know, we're here to stand for. So thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lois Anderson, and my sister and I met Chip and Kim both for the very first time in November of 2016. And that was at the Great Restored Church in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, where the keynote speaker was Reverend Dr. William J. Barber. And at this ceremony, Kim and Chip were presented with the Humanitarian of the Year award. So that was a very special occasion in itself. And very shortly after that, my sister and I became very active with the Rocky Mount Racial Justice Group. And our lives have not been the same since then. But for people that don't know that much about the Racial Justice Group, it was formed in 2015 in response to the killing of 9 people at another Emmanuel AME church in Charleston, North Carolina. And after the election, after the presidential election in 2016, after the ban on immigrants from founding Muslim countries, we talked about having some community forums to educate people about various different types of people. And Chip made a statement in the telegram, like the telegram, that he really wanted to try and get ahead and to try and educate people so that that divisiveness would not take a toehold in Rocky Mount. So Chip was always looking at the outcome of just about everything that the group was involved in. And from that point, we did community forums, we did a walk to protest the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, we had boat discussions, marches, retreats. We had continued with our monthly meetings, which we have on the first Tuesday of every month. And there really has been some really rewarding work. We really encourage people to come out and join us if you have not ever participated in one of our monthly meetings and all the activities that we are involved in. Chip, yeah, he was really something else. He was a very quiet man, but he was very analytical, and he did not talk that much, but when he spoke, everyone listened very carefully because he always had something very profound and interesting to say. We have learned so much from him, we really have. And we wonder how will we go on, but we definitely will find a way to continue with Chip's work. I think that is probably the best way to honor his memory, is to carry on this important work that he started along with his wife, Kim. And so I'm very happy to be very much a part of that organization and to know this.
I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And this is rough. I don't mean for it to be rough, but it is. I met him when he first came to Fayetteville. We were involved with a company called United for Fair Economy. And so he had students in Fayetteville that was involved with that. So I heard this man knock on my door. This tall white man on my door. What you doing over here? He said, I'm out here Chip Smith. And he said, what I thought I would do, I will come back rather than call, but you can hang up on me. But you can't move me. So that's not the relationship we had. And we traveled all over. And then what happened, I remember one time we went to Atlanta for North Carolina Social Alliance. And we were in there and so we were having a steak talking about different things and stuff. And then the next day, me and Chip, we always getting into it with somebody. So we got ready to leave that day, and Kim said, Chip said, we got to go by Shoney's. I said, why we got to go to Shoney's? Because Kim got us some coupons. This day, with all that we saw your wife and yours, sir, that we looking for Shoney's. But we found Shoney's, and that's what happened. Another thing was I had a meeting of people in my home. And it was mostly, black folks who we meet. So some of the people came in, they saw Chip there. What this white guy doing here? And I said, first thing, this white guy is more black than most black folks. But see, Chip understood because he started beyond color. And the people in the group that called him that, they started calling him John Brown. They said, what John Brown got? I said, John Brown. So that's what happened. And John Brown was a lot of people who were for the elimination of slavery, but they weren't for equality. Chip was for equality. Everything that we did, we were involved in the Fayetteville Peaceful Justice, and being involved in Fayetteville against the Iraq War, that took courage. And so what we did, we were long there and everything, and then I was at the meet one time, and we walked around the market house, and this guy was dogging Chip's wife's dog. And we said Kim, and then my nephew was with, he said, that man putting his life in his hands. He don't know what he's doing. And then they even tried to teach me karate. And Kim laughed because that was a job. I was probably the worst karate student they ever had. But they did have some karate students who came out and learned and became, got black belts and stuff like that. So it was always important. And then we go over to Kip's house and everything. And my wife was there, and then Kim came to Kim came to my wife's wedding. My wife's wedding. And we would always tell Chip, and Clem, guess who that? The white couple. So that's what we do. So then they came to our wedding, I appreciate it. And they gave us $300. That's my biggest wedding gift. So, so I'm gonna remember that. And my wife would just go to their house and we had popcorn and we'd sit down and watch these movies. But she can't let a dog, you always pee on my wife. I don't know why, but she pee on my wife. I go over to Kim to Chip's house. She said, I ain't gonna let the dog pee. But what happened, there was a relationship. And once you have feelings that you have a relationship, because there were so many different things we were involved in, all over. I remember me and my nephew, we went to Chip. We went to a meeting with Dr. Barber. Me and Chip, we always had a dialogue. And we were dialoguing in the parking lot. My nephew said, y'all gonna mess around, we sleep. But that's where it was. See, one thing about Chip, he was a person who used to talk. So a lot of times people talk, but they don't really talk. See, sometimes black people say what white people want to say, white people say what black people say, we all go home. And we feel good we had a dialogue. See, with Chip, it was always a dialogue. He'd sit down there and say, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it was always, and found out what John Brown is. Because what happened, he understood. He had a medical way when they did the cost of privilege. Because we were at a meeting, I don't say it's not sit down, in Fayetteville. And what happened, this man told me the car, I parked my car, and he told me to move the car. I said, he said, move it now. So I moved my car, and then Chip came on my parking lot, parked there. And the cop told him to move the car. Chip said, I ain't through yet. and that was the conversation. I think the cost of privilege. And this is an amazing book and most analytical book that I've ever read that really gets with the heart of
what we really do. So like she was saying, see what Chip ain't gonna die. His spirits gonna live on, and Brian ain't part of that. They always used to tell me, say we old when we can die, and time they get through when we die. Slavery gonna be the best thing that ever happened to us. But what we have to do is pass our lineage on to other people, and that's what I try to do, and that's why Chip was so involved with young people, because that was our lineage, and he's gonna pass it on. So thank you.
Well, somebody's got to follow that. I guess it might as well be me. You all got this obituary. And you probably read it, but do more than read, study it. It shows, among other things, a person who had such an education, such a background, that could have used it for wealth and status, but he didn't. He turned it into something really remarkable. I don't know what lives on of a person after he dies, but this will. It'll live on in the memories of his family, the people who knew him, his descendants. Study this. And, of course, study the book, too. That's Chip as well. Thank you.
I have something that I was asked to read today from Marvin Winstead, he's very active in the racial justice group, and he's also a member of the Sierra Club. And his farm is going to be directly impacted by the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. It's coming right across his farm. And Marvin was never one that he ever thought he'd ever become an activist. But let me assure you, Marvin Winstead has become a hardcore activist and an expert about the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. But Marvin was really hard sick that he was out of town this weekend. And he sent me a little comments, and he asked me to please read these. I could have just given them to you, Kim, but he asked me if I would read them, and I said yes. And this is from Marvin Winstead. He says, I met Chip around 3.5 years ago when I joined the meetup group of the Sierra Club in Rocky Mount. Since that time, I have come to consider him a friend. When he came into a room, even though he didn't that quietly, you could not help but notice him because he was so tall. I observed him to be a reserved person and a keen observer of what was happening around him. I learned in knowing him that he's dedicated to the principles of racial justice and working for the betterment of our society, especially but for those who have suffered injustices. I will miss him, but I will always remember his values and actions that have made and will continue to make the world a better place for us all. Thank you, Marvin Winstead.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Perry Cole, and I'm a resident of Rocky Mountain. I just want to say a couple of things about Chip. I'm also a member of the Racial Justice Group, but I'm a part of another struggle here in Rocky Mountain, and that is on behalf of the segregated, racially segregated and poor neighborhoods in the city that are trying to rise up and make sure that we are not displaced by the economic development that has come to our city. And that is how I met Chip. We had a meeting in 2015 up in the Franklinton Center at Grix, which is up in the rural area. And I was present there, and I looked up, and I saw this white guy. I'm like, who the heck is that? But Cynthia Brown was there. Some of you probably know Cynthia Brown from Durham, and she said, child, don't worry about that. That is Chip Smith. And it wasn't long after that that Chip gave me his book, and I see that it's prominent in this gathering today. And what I thought I would do, because I think when Chip gave me the book, he was trying to say, this is who I am. If you want to know who I am, look at this book, and it'll tell you something about me. So I wanted to share a couple of things from the book with you. that stand out to me. And I noticed in this book it was an update in 2007, and I thought it was interesting to talk about some of the things Chip was thinking about when he was updating what came before this particular version of the book back in 2007. First of all, he said that it was awesome to try to explain white supremacy as a white person. He said sometime he himself didn't think he fully understood it, but he said that he felt as a white person that he had a responsibility to try to unravel this thing. It says in a very early portion of this book that it started with land, the land grab of the land from the Native Americans. And I found that interesting because just this week I was looking at a documentary and it talked about the doctrine of discovery. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. That was an announcement issued by the Pope in 1493 that said that there are no Christians in the New World. And therefore, Spain could take control of all lands and all wealth in the New World in the name of furthering Christianity and religion. I thought that was interesting. Doctrine of discovery. And you know, the Native American community is still struggling with that piece of work today. He said that this question of the land grab was united with the system of slavery, and that was really the foundation of white supremacy in this country. He also mentioned in 2007 now that the United States did not have a health care system for the poor. I think that was interesting, that he was thinking about that in 2007. He said that the system of racial privilege yields social control, and we know that's for sure. He said that he wrote the book because many don't understand the history of what has happened in this country that has led to where we are today, and I find that to be true. He said that he wrote the book so that he could answer the questions that some white organizers had, like when to speak, how to participate, and how to join forces across the racial divide. He said that there were changes that needed to be addressed, and that was another reason why this 2007 version of the book was announced. He said immigration was one of those questions. And at the racial justice retreat that was just yesterday, it seems like, I sat at the table with him around the question of immigration. So that was a concern for him. He talked about the economic shift in our country and deindustrialization and how that had changed some things. He also said that some academic studies had reduced the importance of race, and he wanted to speak to that question. He said that there was a concern about re-energizing and refounding the revolutionary left. Somehow or other, I think